G'day YouTube, warbles on a lot here. Once again, what I'm told is a brown dragon is hunting from my veranda. And as you can see, I am part of the landscape. I am harmless. I am helpful and a pro-survival factor for the brown dragon. Isn't that cute? I give the brown dragon slightly more altitude from which to look and spy potential prey moving across the lawn. Waiting is. I don't dare to pause because I won't be able to unpause fast enough for you to see it when he runs away, or she. The idea is that I have to hold perfectly still, so they can hold perfectly still. The better to see whatever it is they're looking for. So yeah, I guess I'm helping lizards to hunt. I'm helping this one to hunt anyway. Choughs are apparently no threat to a lizard and of no interest. And the lizard is of no interest to the chough. I was a bit worried about that. $98.99 times 9. Apparently global warming's beating the shit out of Victoria this week. Last week it was Queensland. They've had themselves a horrendous storm. Lightning lit up fires, wind fanned the fires, and the wind knocked down a whole lot of high tension power transmission towers which were built probably 60 years ago with a estimated lifetime in operations of 40 or 50 years, but they weren't ever designed for the wind speeds they are experiencing under global warming. So a bunch of firefighters got burnt over, but modern burn over drills and firefighting equipment is such that they come out of it more or less not very badly damaged. Other people have lost houses. Probably 300,000 haven't got any power today. I think it was 1.5 million last night had no electricity. Basically what's going on is everybody who voted to grow the economy, and as they said on their political parties' campaign policy platforms at every election, their number one priority was to grow the economy, quote, regardless of any perceived fears of environmental damage or destruction which may be held by so-called scientific community, or by the so-called scientific community, and environmental activists. Unquote. That's pretty much what the Liberal Party, which is the Tories, the Labor Party, which is the Whigs, the National Party, which are the extreme Whigs, and the Pauline Hanson, Jackie Lambie, Clive Palmer, all the little independent, single-issue, populist candidates, all of them wanted to prioritise growing the economy. Not one of them, apart from the Greens, wanted to prioritise caring for the environment. So I'm able to say with an honest heart that for 44 years I've voted against global warming, so don't blame me. At every election, I lost. The people who wanted to grow the economy regardless of environmental damage, they won the election, and now they're whinging and bitching and whining and groaning and wailing and kicking up a fuss and, oh, boo-hoo, sob, me bloody tourist traps being burnt for the second time in 5 years and it's been flooded twice as well. Or maybe it's been flooded 3 times and only burnt twice in 5 or 6 years. And they're all saying it, from the top end of Queensland all the way down to bloody bottom end of Victoria. Boo-hoo, sob, me tourist trap's not working. Every time I rebuild it, it gets knocked down flat again and the tourists don't come anyway, because where are the rich people who are sitting on fat pots of money and want to run halfway around the world to pay inflated prices and look at other people getting on with living their ordinary lives? Where are those people? Last I heard, the environment's collapsing and the economies are collapsing and people are fighting over resources all over the bloody world. There's not too many cashed up, fat cat, trendy looking tourists who want to fly halfway around the world and stay in a motel to look at the bloody Celtic standing slivers in Glen Innes, or to ride a bloody bicycle up the rail trail that some lunatics are still trying to get built instead of rebuilding the train line. Because if the highway up the coast goes underwater to sea level rise from global warming, it would be nice to have a train line on top of the mountains, would it not? You know, if you're trying to keep society and civilization going. But no, the bean counters are basically playing a loser's game. Council of Despair. Grow the economy until the wheels fall off the environment and then everybody dies. And wasn't that a lovely game? We had 12,000 years of getting fat and rich and smug and happy and complacent. And now it all turns to shit. Well, not here. Not if you ask this little lizard. Up here, somebody pays the rates on the endangered species sanctuary. And the local ecological remnant is trying to heal itself and make itself look the way it did before the first bar land showed up here in about 1840. So we're trying to undo 180 years worth of farming, and this place has had 30 years of a rest. So this place has got a 33-year head start, and we're only trying to repair 150 years of shit and damage. One of the smartest things I ever did was buy 100 acres of failed farmland on top of a hill in the forest, 15 k's out of town. And then restrain myself from farming it. Because as I understand it, the Pastures Protection Board, or the Meat and Livestock Industry Committee, or whatever they call themselves, they have the theory that I could run 40 sheep on 40 hectares. I think if I wanted to live on top of a bloody bald, bare, rocky desert, I could too. But you can't buy enough chemical dip or drench to treat 40 sheep. You might be able to buy enough to treat one sheep, but I doubt that. My experience is you can only buy enough to treat about 300. And my observation is that unless you've got about 600 sheep, you're not going to make enough money on the wool clip and the cost of the chemicals and the labour and all the rest of it to be able to buy enough dog feed to feed the sheepdog that you have to work 600 sheep. So that's pretty much your entry level as a sheep farmer. You've got to be able to run a herd of about 600. I've known people who could do that and break even in an average year and make money in a good year and lose money in a bad year, and that's as good as a sheep farmer can ever pretty much hope to do, from what I can see, having lived among them. And it's not like the 1950s when wool was a pound a pound. And if you're trying to run just half a dozen sheep, so you don't hammer your land too bad, or if you're living on half an acre in a village, well, where are we going? See, I told you it all happens fast. Yes, I know. You don't have to tell me the lizard's there. See, she does. She thinks I'm stupid, I guess, or blind. There we go. He got his food. Munch, 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 munch. So yeah, if you've got half a dozen sheep or 2 or 3 horses or a couple of cattle, potty calves, when it comes time to dip them and drench them, you'll go and ask somebody else you know who's got 6 of the 700 of the bloody things, can you add yours onto their program, drench program, dip program? And at first, they'll be too flustered to say no, go to buggery, so they'll agree to it, and then they'll find that they can't figure out how much they should charge you for the chemical plus their time. And if they add their time, it gets to be a stupid price that they're embarrassed to ask. So they come and they offer to do it for nothing because it's too hard to work out. And then they realise how much of a pain in the arse it is to try and keep somebody else's half a dozen little animals on their big drench program or dip program. So the next time they need dipping or drenching, the cocky fails to show up. And then 3 or 5 months later, all the bloody goats start to become anemic from the hookworms or the roundworms or some other bloody thing. And then they get crook and they die. Are we seeing that? I think we might be. We should be. I don't know what it's eating, but it is eating something. Oh, here we go. You coming back up? Coming back up. Anyway, I think I've proved my point. The lizard uses me as a high altitude extension of the veranda in order to hunt more efficiently. And the lizard's not scared of the choughs, but the choughs want me to know that the lizard is here. Isn't it cute? The interspecies forest community. Everybody gets along unless they eat each other for dinner. Kangaroos argue with kangaroos, and swamp wallabies argue with swamp wallabies, and neither one actually tends to do anything more than advance and roar and bluff the other. Swamp wallabies on swamp wallabies, though, they can get a bit feisty, and kangaroos on kangaroos are absolutely spectacular to watch. And sometimes, ooh, got another one. Sometimes this little fella gets chased off his perch by one about twice the size, maybe 50% bigger. We've got another chough going to come past. So yeah, I reckon I've saved myself an awful lot of money and an awful lot of irritation and work for nothing, and an awful lot of aggravation on the part of my neighbours in having to put up with some dickhead who hasn't got enough animals to be worth looking after and wanting to be helped out all the time. If you're going to go off into the bush for a tree change, and wait until you've been there for 5 or 10 years before you start introducing your animal fantasies. And ideally find somebody else who lives near you who shares those fantasies and go and hang out with them and learn how to do it before you start condemning some poor bloody animal to dying while you're having a learning experience. I hardly dare to think how many bloody horses and goats my wife basically neglected unto death. Anyway, there you go. That's little lizard. Ooh, I moved, so therefore even. Oh, found something else. Oh, coming back again. Where are you? You do like this as a hunting spot, don't you? And every time I go to close the video, you want to have something else interesting to add. You really are a funny little fella. Yep, absolutely. More fun than a barrel of Moses. I wouldn't miss it for quids. Warbles on all at the YouTube. Ciao.